Hello, and welcome to one of my C# tutorials. I am Daniel Bullen. You're basically the maker of this video. So please remember to click that like button, subscribe to my channel, and spread it far and wide. So what I'm going to go through with you today is how to do inputs and outputs using C#. So I'm going to go through the tutorials, the tutorial exercises I go through with my students, and in the hopes that you'll be able to get these yourselves. So, what are we going to do today? Inputs and outputs. So we can do calculations, or we can just do input and output with strings. So if we want to use input for numbers, we can bring in operators. So operators, they perform operations on variables and values. So if we've got the console.writeLine 10 plus 5, that's going to print 15. So we can also do inputs, which looks like this. So I'm going to show you what this program actually does. So console.writeLine, that's the output, so it's asking us to enter our name. What we can do is declare a string variable called name on console.readLine. So what that means is we are creating a string variable and we're getting the user input. So I'm going to input name, so it's outputting the name. So and now we're going into the right line, ask us to enter our age. Then we're going to do read line, so we're going to input our age. And there we go. So that is an example of inputs and outputs using strings and ints. Okay? Now for the next bit. So C# divides operators into arithmetic, assignment operators, comparison, which is also called relational operators, logical operators, and so on. But we're going to focus mainly on arithmetic operators. So they're used with numeric values to perform common mathematical operations. So we've got plus, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. We also have modulus, exponentation, and floor division. So when we do decimals, we can do the float data type. So I'm going to go in here and create a project called sums. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this bit of code here. Because when you load up the C# replit, all of this will be there for you. So you don't need to worry. So I'm going to run it as it is. And what we're going to see is we're going to see these numbers worked out. So A is going to be 4. A times 2 is 8. And so on. So the idea is to go through the rules of bitmass. Brackets, indices, division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. Okay, but the problem is A is our default, which is okay, but what if I want to convert? What if I want to input what I want? So we need to modify the program so that the user is prompted for an initial value for A rather than default value. So the way we would do A, we've already initialized int A equals 0, so we don't need to worry about that. So what we'll need to do is A equals, we need convert, we just need to convert, so we need convert to int, then we're going to do brackets, and we're going to do console.readLine, and we're going to do brackets. In this case, I should have done int 32. So if we have a problem, this is where we would need to go back up and have a look. So we need convert. So we need convert and then a full stop to int, and then we type 32. So altogether we need A equals convert, full stop, and then 2, uppercase T, uppercase I for int, and then 32. And then set of brackets, console full stop, read line, so capital R, capital L, and another set of brackets. So I'm going to press run. So we don't need to worry about an output ask us to enter a number, so we're just going to enter any number. So I'm going to enter 5. And that's going to give us 15, 10. So A times 2 is 10. A plus A plus A is 15. And so on and so forth. Okay? What I should have done here is I should also have done an F. So console.writeLine, I should have done F, which we don't actually need. So I could have done F here. Which we're not going to worry about actually. So we're just going to leave that alone. Okay, so we don't need those two, the D and an E. So we need a little bit of modification going on here. So once I've modified that slightly, I'm going to do a console dot write line, and I'm going to say enter a number. And I'm going to click run. It's going to ask me once it loads up, because that's C# for you. So enter a number, I'm going to enter 6. And lo and behold, so I've inputted some different numbers. So I've just done A, B, C, D, and E to make sure I've got A, B, C, D, and E once rather than loads of times. Okay? So I've changed the code slightly, which is why you've got slightly different numbers. Okay? So that is our code. On to the next one, which is number 2. We need to take a look at the program below, and we're going to go through this with a paper and pen, or we can do this in our heads. And what we're doing here is dry running code. Using the rules of bitmass, so 4 times 2 is 8, plus 5 is 13. And then we got A, so B equals A, which is 13, divide by 2, that's 6.5, take away 3 is 3.5. There we go. So let's say B, 3.5 times 2 is 7, plus A is 13 is 20, minus 4 is 16. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy the code in, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to include console.writeLine for F, and we're going to see if we are correct. So I'm going to click run. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to use different arithmetic operations, especially when we get on to the next task of inputs. Okay? So this task wasn't so much about inputs, it's more about being able to use arithmetic operations and the use of brackets. So using a bit of everything there. Okay? So that is the second task. That's the second task done. On to the next one. So we're going to take a look at the following code. So the way we're going to do this one is through prim. So prim is predict, run, investigate, modify, make. So the idea of prim is to show us examples of good working code. So we're going to take this bit of code, and we're going to predict what it does. And I predict when we run it, it's going to ask us to enter 2 numbers and add the 2 numbers together based on our inputs. So let's run. Let's run with a program. So what's it going to do this time? C# taking forever, I know. Just have to be patient. So enter a number. So I'm going to enter 4, and I'm going to enter 8, That's going to give us 12. Yep, that's fine. So we ran it and saw the prediction work. So the prediction's true. Okay, I'm going to investigate this program and see what happens if we put a multiplication sign instead. So I'm going to go to the line 11, take out the addition, shift and 8 for multiplication. So instead of 4 plus 8 equals 12, what I'm going to do is 4 times 8 when it actually loads up. So I'm going to do 4 times 8, 32. So we've investigated that bit. Okay, I'm going to put another input. So I'm going to investigate what happens if we put another input in there. So I'm going to copy these lines of code. And I'm going to call that num3. Then I'm just going to do plus num3. It's just saying what happens if we... So basically, we're going to add another input. So we can do whatever we want. We can add it, times it, whatever. And that'll still work. So I could do 4 times 8 plus 1, 33. Not going to run that one because we know that's going to work. What we're going to do is modify the program. So we add add num1 and num2, subtract num3, multiply num4, divide by num5. After every variable based on their user input. So I'm going to do num1 plus num2. I'm going to subtract num3. Then what I'm going to do up here is I'm going to add 2 more. So I'm going to do num4 and I'm going to do num5. So I'm going to times num4 and I'm going to divide by num5. So I'm going to run that. So I'm going to give it a nice and easy one. Nice and easy. Anyone can do this. So 4 plus 8, that's 12. Take away 1, that's 11. Times 4 is 44. Divide by 2 is 22, is 10. So they've went through the rules of BIDMAS. So we've got 4 divided by 8, and then it times by 1, and then it added, 4 and took away 2. Yeah, I just go by num1 plus num2 minus num3 times num4 divide by num5. So my prediction was wrong because it's going literally through the rules of BIDMAS as opposed to adding in order from left to right. Okay, now we need to make a program where the user can use the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division signs after every input, which we've pretty much done, but I didn't realize because I read it wrong. In a modifier, I should have added the 2 numbers and subtracted the third, which is basically this, which is literally this. Add the 2 numbers, subtract by the third. So I'll go through this one fairly quickly because that's the one I should have done. So I've done the print the wrong way around by mistake. So it's where I've done run, where I've done predict, run, investigate, make, and then modify. I should have done modify, then make. So we do 4 plus 8, 12, take away 2, 10. Simple. Nice and simple one there. That takes us through that task. Now, we need to write a program that will ask the user to input the length and width to get the area of a rectangle. Nice and easy stuff. So I'm just going to deal with integers. So we're just going to have area equals length times width. I'm going to declare variables length, width, area. So I'm going to do console.writeLine, enter the length. I'm going to do length, convert to int32, console.readLine. Going to set the brackets. That's the length. Next one, we're going to do the width. And then we're going to times the two together. I'm going to do console.writeLine. And we're just going to say area. You can say area of a rectangle. So I'm just going to say area. And what I'm going to do is that, because I like to be a bit fussy, but A. So enter the length. I'm going to enter 4 times 5, 20. Easy. Next one. We need to write a program that will ask us to input the length and the width to get the area of a square. But we might not even need to do that. We could just do that. So we can, so like we did with rectangle, we can just do area, length, and we could do exponentation to 2, which needs to be applied to a pointer in this case. So we won't be having that. So we can alternatively just have length times length. So I'm going to run that for square. Yep, it will take a while. So I'm going to enter 5, gives us 25. Another one bites the dust. Now we need to write a program that will ask the user to input the diameter to get the circumference of a circle. So the formula circumference is 3.14 times by diameter. So we're going to ask the user to do the diameter and to get the circumference. So I'm going to do float diameter, or what we can do is a double. So we're not going to need that. So we could do circumference also as a double. And then we could just do circumference as a double, and we could type in circumference here as a double. So let's say I want to run it. So you got console.writeLine, enter the length, which I'm actually going to say diameter to make it more meaningful. And then what I'm going to do, instead of saying convert dot to int32, I'm going to say convert to double. Because we want that to be double if we're going to declare a double variable. So I'm going to get rid of these, because I didn't use those. Right, enter a diameter. So I'm going to enter 3.12. Enter. That is our circumference. But can we actually round it? I think we can. So what we can do, I haven't quite got rounding on C#, but we're going to find it. So I'm going to use the math.round function. So what I need is a math.round. So that will allow users to round up numbers to X amount of decimal places. And you have to do it before the working out. So what we can do here, we can go here, math.round, and in the brackets we can do 3.14 times the diameter. And it says to enter that now. So I'm going to type in 3.12, and you'll see the difference between the two results. So between the last one we've worked out and the one that I'm going to do now. So you can see 9.79, that's going to round up as a whole number to 10. So we can do that, or we can do 2 decimal places. So you go after the diameter, comma, and we just do 2. So I'm going to run it. Because we got just that, didn't have the decimal places, it just gave us the whole number, and so it rounded it off to 10. So when we're running this, I'm going to type in 3.12 as our diameter, enter that, and it's given us 9.8 to 1 decimal place. So we can actually go 3. So I'm going to try 3. I don't normally do this, but I want to try 3 just to see if it actually goes to 2 decimal places. And it's always good to test out your program as you're doing it bit by bit. So that's called iterative testing. So we're testing it bit by bit. So it's good, especially when you're doing bigger bits of code. It's better to have some of your code working than all of it not working. But anyway, the program's come up. So we enter 3.12 as a diameter. So it's 7.9. So it's rounded up to 7 rather than the 6, because after that you got the 8. And because you got 7.9, it's just 9.8. So, but they just don't put the naught in this case. Okay? So we've done 4 tests, and we've seen how it works. Let's go to the next one. We need to write a program that will ask you to input the radius to get the area of a circle. So this is another nice and easy one. So we're going to do double area, and we're going to do double for radius. We're going to do console right line. We're going to do area because it's area of a circle. Yep, so we got that. We need to make sure we have the semicolons at the end of each line, otherwise the program's not going to work. And instead of saying diameter, we're going to say radius. And what we can do to round it off, we're going to use the math.round, and we're going to round this off to 2 decimal places. So I'm going to run the code, and we're going to see what it does. So it's going to ask us to type in a radius, and it's going to convert that radius to a double as it reads in what we've inputted, and it's going to round whatever we've done to 2 decimal places. So the radius I'm going to make is 4.65. Enter. The area is 67.89. If I chose not to have the math.round, which I'm going to do, I'm going to run that. And I'm going to type in the same number to see what the result is going to be. If it ever loads up, which it has. So I'm going to type 4.65, and you can see the massive difference. Because there's a 4 and a third one, it's staying as 8, 9. Had that been another number, it would have gone at 8, been another number, that would have been 9, 0, and hence that is our question. Okay, next one. We need to write a program that will ask the user to input the length at the side and get the area of a cube. So a cube is side times side times side. So what we're going to do is we're going to do console.writeLine, enter a number. So we only need to enter the side. So I'm going to do double side equals convert dot to double, and I'm going to do console.read line, and it has to be capital L and capital R for read line, to double capital T, capital D. Then I'm going to do volume cube as a double. Then I'm going to do the console.writeLine again, and I'm going to say volume of a cube plus, and then we're going to say volume cube. So I'm going to run that. So I'm going to enter a number, so I'm going to enter 4.65. That gives us a volume of a cube. But I'm going to try it with the math.round function. I'm going to do that to 2 decimal places. So I'm going to run the code, and I'm going to type in 4.65 just to see what other numbers we can get. So I'm going to enter 4.65. So we've got 100.54, because the third number's a 4, hence it stays as 54. Okay? And then the last one, we're going to write a program that asks us to input the length of a line to get the perimeter of a square and a rectangle. So we will need the perimeter. So perimeter is going to be length times length plus length plus length, so that's a square. So I'm going to do console.writeLine. So we're going to enter the lengths. So we're going to do double length, convert to double, and I'm going to say console read line. It's going to go through that for a square. So I'm going to do perimeter of a square. And I'm going to do perimeter of a square there. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this code and I'm going to copy and paste that. And I'm going to copy and paste this. And I'm going to call that rect for rectangle. And I'm going to call perimeter rect. And I'm going to call that rect. So instead of saying having length plus length, I'm going to have width, length plus width, plus length plus width. This perimeter, we're going outside, not inside. So I'm going to press run. So I'm going to press run, and it will take a while because that's C# for you, which is why after this one I'm going to end the video and do another one just on inputting strings. The C# takes a long time. So I'm going to enter the length, 4.5. Perimeter of a square, which I should have done. So I'm going to do 3.4 times plus 4.5. So now, what I should have done was I should have done perimeter of a rectangle. The problem is I haven't actually outputted that. And why? Because what I should have done was the plus and not the comma, like you would be able to do in Python. Which is why it hasn't actually outputted anything. It's just taken the inputs but no outputs. But because I put the pluses there, it's actually going to show some outputs when I do it. So I'm going to do 4.5, perimeter 18. Enter length, I'm going to do 4.5 as a length, and I'm going to do I'm going to do 5.6 as the width. So it's giving us 20.2. Nice and easy there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop there and do another video just on strings. And I will do that in my next video on C#. If you've enjoyed this video, please remember to click that like button on this video, subscribe to my channel, share it far and wide, and help support me and help support others who you know who may be interested in this video. I look forward to making the next one for you very soon. But until then, goodbye for now.